So good afternoon everyone. Today we have gathered here in honor of a special guest that has visited the Woxsen University campus. And today we have the special privilege to host Mr. Oleg Avdeev, the Consul General of Russia in Chennai, as part of the House of Diplomats episode live from campus. So my very first question to you, Mr. Oleg, is your initial remarks as we begin this conversation.
So I'm very happy to be present at this House of Diplomats function. I think this helps the students understand more deeply about the process in the world and about the bilateral relations between Russia and India, how they are going, and what are the prospects for those relationships.
Thank you so much. So as we've seen, India and Russia share a very friendly relation, not just from the economic interest perspective, I think, as from the higher educational institution landscape, we have seen India and Russia share great bond. So how do you see the cultural diplomacy shape not just the economy of Russia and India, but also the association that India has with Russia in higher educational landscape sides?
So India-Russia relationship encompasses a wide gamut of fields, and culture is one of them. But in cultural scene, we have seen recently quite a few developments. So there is the exchange of cultural groups between the two countries has been intensified. Just last year in Chennai, in Chennai, we had one group of young and very talented musicians who came there to perform. That was a very enthralling performance, a very good experience. And cultural diplomacy is a very powerful and strong means to cement relationship between the two countries. So previously we have had years of culture, a year of Indian culture of Russia and a year of Russian culture in India. The same practice will be resumed. And this experience proved to be very useful for people, the population of both the countries. They learn more about the culture of each other, and also they may also borrow something from their culture. And cultural exchanges are, I think, a very powerful way of making relations stronger, for they make people closer emotionally.
Absolutely, I totally agree with what you said. In fact, the world has seen a lot of turmoil, not just from the various economic challenges or the challenges that are usually discussed in this year as well at the World Economic Forum, especially on the climate changes, concerns about sustainability, not just at the businesses, but also in the business education. I think these challenges have always been there, and as a country, India and Russia have to play a pivotal role. So my question to you is, how do you see these two countries shape the future of the world, especially when you have so many economic upheavals?
So India and Russia, they are clearly two very powerful centers in this world. The world is going through the transformation from monocentric to polycentric world, and India and Russia are going to play much bigger role in international affairs, and not just bigger but also a very decisive way. They can influence the globalization process and transformational process on the international area in a very big way. And this, I'm sure, these two countries and also China they will be they will play a very big role in shaping the future world.
Absolutely. In fact, if you see every year when the Prime Minister of India and the Russian President meet over various summits, be it G20 and the other world forums, I think it is always discussed how the two countries can bring new initiatives, and every year we see new agreements being signed. So my question is about how do you see new initiatives, or I would say the priorities of the Russian government in the next few years. So if you could tell us more about some of these priorities that your country has, and how can India benefit from these?
So Russian government is striving to make this world more just, and so that every country should have a say in world affairs, and no country should be ignored, and no country should be allowed to dictate its terms to other countries. So this is the most important. The just international order is a task which the Russian government is trying to implement, and the Russian government is doing this also in consonance with India, because Russia and India also share the same ideas on how and what the future world will be like.
Very true. In fact, if you see India and Russia, especially in the higher education, because we are a private university in the state of Telangana, and the state where we are, if you see, is picking up good pace when it comes to technology, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of its various investments being made in health tech, and that is, I would say, quite evident since the time the world has seen the pandemic, especially when you have various economies battling different challenges. India has its own share of challenges. Russia, I'm sure, has different challenges. But as a world, I think we all share a common forum where the idea is, as you mentioned, to have a just and fair and peace in the society. My question to you is, especially at the higher educational institutions, you have been associated with a couple of institutions in the past. In fact, Woxsen is working with two leading Russian institutions. In fact, we have more that we are working with in the next few weeks that we will see. What are your thoughts on some of the benefits or I would say initiatives that are being taken to bring Indian students to Russia and also invite the Russian students back to India to witness what India has to offer, especially in terms of its cultural heritage? So if you can tell us more on that, what is the Russian president doing about that?
So I'm well aware of the fact that Telangana is fast becoming one of the powerhouses of Indian economy. And this situation also reflects on the educational scene in the state, because more and more universities are opened, and high-class, top-class universities like Woxsen University with excellent facilities, and because the emerging industrial situation, it requires a lot of experts, and I think this is a response of the educational sphere. New universities is a response of the educational sphere to this demand. And it's good that exchange between Woxsen University and leading Russian educational establishments is going on, and I'm sure it will go in future, but in a bigger way than now. Because exchange of students is also a very useful way of sharing ideas, sharing some practices, and when these students graduate and will go to work in a particular sphere of economy in some industry, So they may also use this context which they establish as students for in their professional life. So that will also help. But of course, exchange of ideas is always very useful, and this will enrich both the sides. And if I hope that more and more students will come from Russia here, and in the other direction also, more students will come from Russia to here, so they could also learn something new about it, and also enjoy the academic ambience at the Woxsen University.
Thank you so much. In fact, today morning when we met, what was more interesting is to see you speak Hindi and Bengali, because you worked in Bangladesh. You have worked and seen part of Calcutta. You worked there. You have also been in Chennai for the last 5 years, and this is the 6th year that you're entering into. So it's interesting how, you know, different cultures culminate into one common land where whether you are a Russian, whether you are a Spanish citizen, whether you're a German, whether you are from any other country, I think what unites us is the fact that we consider everyone, especially in India, we consider everyone like I would say, our guests are our God. That is the philosophy that we believe in, Atiti Devo Bhava. I'm sure you are aware about that. So that is the land where we are. And as you mentioned, Woxsen is taking all its possible steps to ensure we bring the world to India and we create a global ecosystem. So that is where we are focused at. My question to you also is about how do you see in the next few years? I mean, for obvious reasons, we have seen a lot of economical challenges between European Union and, you know, the various other economies, including, you know, what just happened recently. I would not want to talk more about that, but I am more optimistic as a person. What I believe is going forward as an economy, we have a responsibility. And that responsibility is how do we bring the people of different nations together and not create any differentiation between them. So maybe you could share your message about how do you see Russia as a country in the next few years maintain its close association with all the countries in the world.
Culture is one of the ways which unite people. Cultural forms may be different and they differ from country to country, but what unites them, what is a common feature, is the humanistic ideals, which is the core of any cultural event. And I think this family values also and other respect for other peoples, for other cultures, for other languages, this is what unites Russia and India. This is what we have in common. Also now we live in a very difficult period of time when all Western countries, they studied a regime of sanctions against Russia. And the present economic situation in the world, which is not very good, I think, to put it mildly, it's entirely of the Western doing. Because of the sanctions, they have broken the structure of the world economy, and we see the consequences. And they are also bear the brunt of those their reckless initiatives regarding the sanctions, but are trying to accuse Russia of this. But actually, it is entirely a thing of their doing. So they should address all the complaints to themselves. So Russia and India are now countries which are trying to stabilize the world economy, and the bilateral relations between them, especially in the economic and trade sphere, is one of the ways. But for Russia and India, the economy would have been in complete doldrums now. But we are saving it from total collapse. And I see the positive side. In this, I see the positive side of our bilateral relationship. And the stronger is the relationship between Russia and India, not just in economic and trade spheres, but in other walks of life, the better for the outside world, because our friendship is a stabilizing factor, the factor which helps other nations to survive, and this also cushions the after effects of the sanctions on the world economy.
Absolutely. In fact, I agree with what you said, that we need to focus on being more humane. The humanistic side that you mentioned, I think that is the key takeaway from what you said right now. That is the way forward. So with that, we conclude the first segment of this fireside chat. The second segment is more of a rapid fire. So this is a very traditional House of Diplomats style, where I ask a couple of questions, which is where you may want to answer in one word, or you may pick up an option and share your thoughts, but not more than 1 or 2 words. And we have not prepared for this, but I think it's a great opportunity to have this with you. My first question to you is, if Mr. Oleg was not a diplomat, what would he be, or where would he be at this point?
I think I would be an educationist in any case.
Great. My next question to you is, if you can arrange in order of priority, India, USA, Russia, UK, China. India, USA, Russia, UK, and China. If you can arrange in order of priority.
I think the first 3 places certainly go to Russia, India, and China. Which of them is the first and the third or the second, I can't say. It depends upon the...
That's a very diplomatic way of answering, though you're a diplomat.
From what side you look at this, economy and from other
I would have
points.
expected
But at least the leading 3 countries are India, China, and of course Russia.
All right.
And they are emerging centers of world power.
All right.
And those 2 countries, they are going away.
I see. So, thank you for sharing that. My next question to you is, in COVID-19, what was that one thing that you learned while you were locked up in your room?
So, what I did, I learned the Turkish language. Yeah, because there was a lot of spare time to spare.
Great. My next question to you is about, it's related to higher education. If you can tell me one word about Woxsen University, what that one word would be?
Well, excellent.
Thank you. So, with that, we come to the end of the rapid fire round. And my last question before we conclude this conversation is, what are your impressions about Woxsen University? You have visited this campus, interacted with our folks out here. So if you can tell us what are your initial impressions, and how do you see Woxsen take up the role of one of the leading institutions, not just in Asia but across the world, and its association with Russian institutions?
So before I came here, I had a very vague idea of what it is like, because seeing is believing. Yeah, one has to see to know there is. But when I was taken around the campus and was taken to laboratories, classrooms, auditoriums, I was really very much impressed. with the academic ambience, also with the facilities, sports and residential facilities, and also with the atmosphere here. The rural atmosphere combined with the seat of knowledge. This is very rare, at least I don't know any case, any example in Russia like this. So this is, I again want to say that I was really impressed with what I saw. And I think that the university has a bright future because it is expanding. So you will have I think, new departments here, and you will have more and more facilities which are coming up. And this augurs well for this institution. And from what I know now, so you are establishing contacts with other leading institutions all over the world, which also will help to improve academic excellence here. And I'm sure that if you continue this pace, if you keep this pace, so you will become a leading institution not just here, but also maybe in the whole of India.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oleg. I think there was really our pleasure having you at Woxsen campus, and I am definitely hopeful that going forward we will have, not just on the academic side, but I think on the industry academic collaboration, we will have lots that we will work together on, and this is our promise, this is our commitment as an institution, that we remain committed to work with Russia, and your students from all over Russia are welcome to visit India, to visit Woxsen. In fact, we have a lot of our exchange students who join us from Russia. In fact, in the coming weeks, we have some of them joining in. So going forward, as you rightly said, you are hopeful of Woxsen taking up the center stage in the world. We are also looking forward to our continued association with you in particular. So with that, I thank you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking out your time to come over to Woxsen from your busy schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.